What I'm about to say is probably the most serious thing I've ever tackled at this podium. Y'all may have had a good night at Friday Night Light Up and the festivities. And Tim, I know you know because you went down to one of my neighbors probably trying to cover up or fix the situation, but that didn't work. And our city manager, after I called up to Debbie at 4:45 and said we didn't get the sawhorse barricades again, what are we going to do? They're going to load up on the little piece of 10th Street that I've been in here before. Darren Gray had it fixed, had a nice 4 years run. And now for the past 2 years, last year and this year, not again. And then, Mr. City Manager, so if you try to lie to these people, I'm going to tell them right now. He didn't just raise his voice to me when I showed up at the neighbors, and I did try to interrupt him to say, we only need the sawhorses. Everything works fine. Works fine. He went in a blind rage in front of Debbie and Kurt Henschel. He didn't just raise his voice. It was a blind rage. Now, you've done this before in here. I've seen this welling up in this man. He's come out there, I told y'all, in the hall and come to take on, again, what we said in the hall after this is over, trying to antagonize people. I even had to come in here and say, keep him 10 feet away from me. But yet I had to go down to my neighbors. And then I'm going to tell all of y'all the truth. So those of you that probably wanted to do something about this up here with him, my husband that I've been married to 47 years, this is where this all goes wrong. He came down that street and told this man off. And I heard some language I've never heard out of my husband's mouth before. This rage and temper that he's got in him, he should have been terminated immediately, what he did in my neighbor's driveway. I don't care what he does to me, but that was inappropriate. He should be terminated. So how dare you that you go in the middle of the street and go, that's not your street, it's not your neighbors, get back down to your house. You have no business here. You have no business knowing what we all been doing and got done right.
Time is up, Miss Ford.
Right. So there you go. I want everybody to know that if he tries to lie after I leave here, there's the truth.
Ms. Page has a tendency to exaggerate. Page, you were not there. Please be quiet.
Interim was making a decent paycheck, though. She was getting paid.
Well,
so we didn't. It's not like we didn't have one, but there was no salary being dispersed for city manager.
Can I finish? And we told you this is going to turn into thousands of pages.
Yes.
And
there's no complaint of that.
Hold on. This is not a debate.
No.
We told you that this would be thousands of pages and we would be happy to get that to you. I was then told that you put your hold on your request on hold earlier this week, that you didn't want all of those papers, that you now wanted it electronically.
No, that is not true. I know you, and here's what I think.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to ask the city clerk.
No, that's not true. I asked for it to be viewed.
Was her request put on hold?
To be viewed. Yes, only yesterday.
Was her request asked to be put on hold?
She asked us to only provide her at this time the electronic. And then she said she would be getting back to us on the paper documents.
That's correct, okay, because there are several people.
So we have not, no, this is my time to answer. We have not delayed anything as you insinuated.
The public asked for the draft and you denied that to them at a workshop.
No public has asked for the draft. You were the first one.
They're sitting here in the room tonight.
No, they're not.
I guess they'll come up. $889. I just saw a good friend this afternoon. It's over off Minnehaha, not with an expensive house. Theirs is going up $1,200. And I think we need to tell the truth. This thing that is up here, I'm sorry, Brian, that is just generalization. And we've already had somebody, he's sitting in the audience tonight, and I will take that on in 2 weeks, that an officer wanted to attack me coming up here because I only pay $368. We've been married 46 years this past weekend, paid taxes for 44 years, 31 in this town, have a Save Our Homes, have homestead, and also a senior discount because we were smart and deferred our retirement. I retired at 32 and a half years old, him at 41 years old, 21 years in my office, corporate, 31 for my husband. There's the everyday person here. Okay, Mr. Bulthuis,
No. This is my time to answer your questions. I want the public to understand. I also want the public to understand, you brought it up. How much did you pay in city taxes last year?
Does $368?
You paid zero.
368
You paid
total.
zero.
And that's, does that a problem for you, sir?
No, I just want people to understand, you're the one that brought it up. You paid zero
Did you
city
not hear me
taxes.
say I do pay taxes this year? The
You didn't
proposed
pay
is there.
city taxes.
No, I pay city taxes. It's on the trim notice, and you will hear that in 2 weeks. And if you want to do and debate, I'm saying, what say you to the people that it's going to be raised? I'm here and could be sitting at home, and I am fighting for the people that they're going to get their taxes really raised.
We showed people how to calculate. This is getting embarrassing, and I don't want to get out of control here. Ma'am.
A resolution stands in the city of Clermont.
No, it doesn't. No, what's going on, folks, is in 1997, Ms. Forth likes to find things. In 1997,
Find things.
in 1997, Council. I am reading the resolution.
Yeah, I was there, sir. I was part of the group and the citizens.
You
were not here.
You're interrupting me.
You were not here.
The resolution is right here. What a council said 25 years ago doesn't matter. Thank you very much for your questions.
I know. We see how it.
The last couple weeks have been difficult because there's been personal attacks put on me, put on staff, by people that don't know all the facts. We're getting inundated with freedom of information requests that are just, to be honest, starting to get ridiculous. Today, for example, at 10:30 this morning, we got a freedom of information request from a Miss Forth. And her request was called in at 10:09 She would like to see the statement where the date and time, so the date and time that we received the ARPA funds. So they want to see the actual date and time that we received it, because it gets transferred electronically. At 12:30, she left a voicemail that said, I want the document. At 1:30, she called again, where's the document? At 5 o'clock, she called again, where's the document? People have to understand, we don't drop everything we're doing when someone files a Freedom of Information request. Staff has work to do. State law says that we do it in a reasonable time. This isn't something that's in the city clerk's office. I have to have finance go look this up, see where it is, and finance department has stuff to do. So, Ms. Forth, if you're in the audience, we do not have that document. I don't think it was 10 million. I don't know what the number was. I don't know what date it is, but we'll find it. You know, there was another personal attack this morning. Someone wants the employment offer made to me, all negotiations pertaining to the offer, including the final offer letter, his signed employment contract, specific terms of the contract, schedule of salary increases, bonuses, income related to his employment with the city of Claremont. If the city termites my employment, what's the fiscal impact? I'll answer that right now. I think it's whatever state law is, 3 months, 4 months?
Maybe 3 months.
Okay, state law. Moving expenses should be in my contract. What was my moving expenses to come here? I think it was about $9,000. Background checks performed by the city verifying the previous employments in my titles. I was a city manager of Ackworth, Georgia, city manager of Mount Morris, Michigan, the administrative assistant of Whitehall, Michigan. There's the answer to that. Verification of my bachelor's and master's degree. There's a copy of my diploma that's hanging in my office for both my degrees. History of legal problems. I've never been sued. If applicable, bankruptcies, etc. I have never filed a bankruptcy, and guess what? My Equifax score is 832. Okay, I looked that up today. The person that asked me, I'm curious what your Equifax score is. Has the FBI done a check on me? I mean, this is where it's going. What was the cost of the background check? I mean, this is what we are going through, all because we're simply trying to adopt a budget. And I say to council, it's getting a little ridiculous. And if that offends someone, I'm sorry, but this is what we are doing instead of the work of the city, is we're replying to these, and these are not Freedom of Information requests or questions, because A freedom of information request is simply, can we get this document? People are starting to get personal, and it's frustrating. You know, I started work in Claremont on November 29th, 10 months ago. So in 10 months, I found out I had a lot on my plate. I was not drinking from a garden hose. I was drinking from a fire hose. On my second day here, we had the Lilies incident. People will should remember the Lilies incident, where that had been not looked at for years and years and years based on previous council doing a motion of allowing them to do stuff. We took action that night. We filed and made complaints and ultimately brought it to council. On my second day here, we started taking action. Now, some people aren't happy with the final action. That's not my decision. Staff took immediate action. I found out when I got here, the police union. You know, I hear all these people saying, we support the police, we support the police. Our police contract has expired on September 30th, 2020. We were over a year past contract negotiations with our police department. But I'm not aware of anyone out there saying, oh, support the police, when they didn't have a contract and operated a year without a contract. The fire department it expired on September 30th of 2021. So no negotiations had started by the time I got here. We had a lawsuit known as Sprinkles that was Victory Point land taking, something that happened back in 2017. Lawsuit hadn't been resolved. We had a lawsuit at the Art District, VP Development. Property the city sold under a previous administrations that people support. The city sold the property, in my opinion, undervalued, and then the two parties sued each other and sued us.
Mr. Bulthuis, who is our city manager here, the personal attacks were to me. I am Charlene Harrison Forth, and he's the one I was talking to. And per the Florida statutes, you are not allowed to go after anybody for pulling public records, to condemn them, to publicly shame them, to whatever, which you're not going to do that to me. I've been doing this for 40 years. I've spent people over 10 days trying to pull records that this city council doesn't know. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. And so you have now violated the statutes again. So we'll deal with that, okay? Because obviously you didn't learn from Georgia. You're in Florida now. You're not in Kansas, Dorothy, okay? So that being said, That's very, very important to me, because you guys have not gotten a lot of stuff. I've been pulling and pulling and pulling stuff. And you can do that without having to be of reprise or anything. And he's got a problem with that, about the public going and pulling public records. And I did ask for that today, because I've asked and asked and asked for something that is here. On 10/6 of 2021, we got 9,679,000 all rounded up. On July 28th, 2022 this year, that a couple of meetings ago, our city manager said, no, we don't get that till next year. Somebody corrected him, screamed from the back of the room, and he then said, no, no, no. Well, we got it on July 28th, 9,879,000. What is up on the screen is where this was Mr. Bulthuis here in a meeting, in a closed door meeting about one of the lawsuits. And as you can see, it says that we can do whatever we want. We've got to free up the 10 million in the general fund. So we've got where we are playing games, and from the general fund, let's take the ARPA fund. Then I can tell you what a couple of people told me out front here with these bricks here, that Mr. Bulthuis wasn't here and doesn't know. The public didn't ask for all of these millions of dollars of bricks. And some of the people down here in these little things said you could take the bricks and put them where the sun don't shine if they're $4 million. Okay, and the people that's got up here, yes, it won't hurt me, but Mr. Bulthuis, you decided to be a personal attack, and you thought that you didn't like that because of those of us that have lived here our whole life, have saved our homes. Then I've been married 46 years, 44 I've been paying taxes, and now, because my husband and I are senior citizens, we only took our Social Security. It was very smart. We have put the rest of it till we're 72, and we qualify. So last year it was a 0, but we will pay for that. And then we had the cops that decided to go online and attack people that came up here to speak. Welcome to election year on the council. You've got ARPA money that you can play back and forth with the funds. It needs to be put off, and we need to go ahead and get a forensics in here. This is the truth. And by the way, I did find the thing where you threatened them to fire them also and let them go in Ackworth, Georgia. And I don't know who's pulling.
Are there options, and is it even appropriate for you in the dynamic between city council and city manager to say, hey, here are the cuts we could make that would net $1 million and their fire station number 2, or this program or that program or these events?
And that's what we've talked about. But I mean, even like events, you know, and
yeah.
I don't want to get into disagreement with you. I mean, it's what we charge people that put events on.
Sure.
You know, in the past, you know,
I looked at that.
I know you were, you know, with the spring games, and, you know, you were charged very little to put the spring games on, but in the future, should the city be charging more for those?
Good evening. Allison Strange, 700 Almond Street, Claremont, Florida. My partner and I own 2 pieces of residential real estate and 1 piece of commercial property. I have made an effort to speak to every single one of you over the last month since it came to my attention that we were looking to increase the budget to 5.7. Some of you engaged, some of you did not. Some of you waited to hear from others before engaging. It is what it is. It's fine. What disturbs me is that we have not even seen a budget that balances at 4.2. We have not even seen a budget that balances at the rollback rate of 3.7. You have not asked your staff to produce that. Instead, what we have are threats. And I personally love Mr. Bennett. I've known him for 14 years. I love the fire department. I personally hugged a police officer who had to answer a call at my home. That the threats to our police and fire, if you have to roll back, are completely inappropriate. If we have a $3 million deficit and $4.5 million going into entertainment in this city, then that's where you should be looking. And it's not you that should be looking, it's your city manager. And I recognize that standing up here has already hurt my company that does business here in the city. I have already been advised that his recommendation is to cut my sponsorship with the city. So while the people standing up here asking you to raise the millage are folks who will receive the benefit of $300,000 in the new budget that's going to waterfront, and folks who will receive the benefit of $200,000 that's going to the Performing Arts Center, I stand here personally negatively impacted by asking you to do the right thing. Communicated. I'm disturbed that we haven't held our staff accountable. It bothers me. And I know every one of you knows better. And I know you can do it. And I know you've been pressured. And I know this will hurt me. And I'm still standing up here and saying it. So please back me on it.
So then what happened to the $9 million? The answer is we had a lot of projects that are over budget. It's what we walked into. It's what I walked into. The downtown project is over budget. We had 2 lawsuits that we had to settle. We had projects that were under budgeted from 2015. So all of those projects were paid for with those funds. It's not pretty, but this is what I walked into. So the money was used to offset those costs that otherwise would have put the city into a deeper financial hole had we not received those ARPA funds.
Okay.
Brian, have we received all of the 19 million?
No,
plus or
we've
minus?
received half of it this year, we'll receive half of it next year. So those revenues will not show up. Oh, we do have, okay, I'm sorry, Pam's saying we do have them. It won't show up in the budget till the very end of the fiscal year when we'll move the money. But there's nothing illegal, there's nothing improper. That's what we talked about with council back in January of how to get out of these holes. So that's there was a couple other questions if you wanted me to answer. Impact fees.
Well, yes.
Watch it.